व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय
दक्षिणामूर्तये
दक्षिणामूर्तये
नमः। ॐ शान्तिः
शान्ति शान्ति
शान्तिः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो
गुरुभ्यो नमः
नमः। Okay, so we will be doing the sutra number 9. But before we go to the sutra number 9, we will very quickly, in 2 minutes, do a Purvapara Prasanga by looking at the last couple of lines of the previous sutra. So if you look at these three sutras one by one, first thing was that when a sadhaka ascends from the plane of that samana stage where the mind is still there in a very encrypted form, you have silenced the activities or the programs, the functioning of the mind. However, the data sheet is still lying there. So there could be a relapse, and that risk of vulnerability of a relapse into a very previous state of being, the author alerts the sadhaka by mentioning that in order to stabilize that state of spiritual integrity, you cannot continue to be there. Even though you have gone to a very high level, you have quietened your mind, but that's not risk free. What one has to do, one has to transcend to the next level where the individual God consciousness or the pure spiritual integrity that you achieve through your yoga sadhanas and fastings and Upanishad Sravana Manana Nididhyasana Adi, that individual God consciousness, what is described as Atma Vyapti, has to be transcendent, and then you go to that level of what is universal God consciousness, where you have a Avedatmaka darshana. That means you do not see the whole universe as different from you. You establish yourself as if everything is a play out of that Paramashiva. Once you have that realization that everything is Paramashiva, you are established in universal God consciousness. Once we are there, then there is no difficulty. There is this one beautiful story also Rajneesh narrates while talking about Kabir. He mentions about some good guru. Kabir had come, and there was some Muslim mullah over there in Uttar Pradesh, and he came to his place. And it is mentioned that they were together for 3 days, and then there was no conversation. And then, actually, the beauty of the story is that that was the best conversation because both are jnanis. There is nothing to share because they have achieved that universal God consciousness. There's another striking story which comes to my mind is by Hermann Hesse. He has written that famous book called The Glass Bead Game. In the end of that novel, there are three stories. There is a story of two monks in the end of that book. It's a very famous story in which there is a monk. He listens to all kinds of confessions and he's very tired. And he's told that if you go to a person who's on the other side of the desert, he's very enlightened. He can solve all your problems. He listens to people's agonies and stories and he heals them, he supports them, he gives them love. But somewhere he's still not at that universal consciousness he feels. And then he starts walking through the desert to go to the other side to meet that wise, enlightened guru. Sadly enough, that enlightened guru on the other side is also listening to sad stories of people. And he is also very lonely. Nobody is there to listen to his story. And he listens to a lot of stories full of frustration, anxiety, depression. So he asks people, do you know any spiritual master? Oh, yeah, there is somebody who is on the other side of the desert. And they both come and they land up at the same place in an oasis where there's a water body and there's a big plant, there's some banyan tree. And in the shade of that tree, both these old men are sitting. They're not talking to each other, they're quietly sitting. And one asks the other one, Who are you? Where are you going? Then he says that I have been told that on the other side of this desert, if I have crossed half the desert, if I cross over the other half, on the other side, there is a very enlightened soul who heals people. And the other guy, then he says, and who are you and where are you going? He smiles and he says, most likely we are trying to reach out to each other because I was also going to the other side to meet the enlightened soul. The power of symbolism in the story is that we have this feeling of incompleteness, swatyantriya hani, apurna manyata. These are the two words Siva Sutra always emphasizes. What is indicative, symptomatic of absence of fullest realization of spirituality, that stage where we have apurna manyata. It's not, we are not happy. We are there, but we are not there. We are not fully there. Now, once we are fully there we are established in the universal God consciousness, then there will be no duality. That he is a Saivite, he is a Kali devotee, and he is a Vaishnava devotee. And I'm a Advaita Vedantist or I'm a Kashmiri Saiva expert. So you have these sectarian feelings. But if anybody is established in that universal God consciousness, it embraces all. And he immediately realizes with this wisdom, newfound wisdom, of being able to embrace the whole cosmos. What do you think about sects, religious sects? He embraces the whole universe, and therefore, whosoever he feels genuine love and compassion and warmth towards whosoever is achieved. He may be having different faith, he may be of another religion, but he's in a dedicated way, he's there, absolutely no feeling, no problem, because he has reached to that highest level of God realization. And therefore, he's saying, what was the sutra? Jagrat Ditya Karaha. For him, that waking state, that sansara he sees all around, he doesn't see this world as something which is dichotomous vis-a-vis him. It's not in contradiction with him. The contradiction between you and the universe is for the person who is in a pasubhava. He is in a limited consciousness. Therefore, we have this agony that I am not being taken care of and this and that. But once you ascend to that plane, even for 5 seconds, that level of elevation, washes away a hell lot of trauma and anxiety and stress and everything. Even 5 minutes, even 5 days of that sort of a realization, it will wash away many of the past sanskaras. So he treats this whole Jagrat Avastha, this waking state, everything that we see all around us as Ditya Karaha. He is the first, Prathama, the Pramata, and the Pramaya is not distinct or different from him because there is no non duality. There is no duality there. There is absolute non duality, absolute unity of pure consciousness. Then he looks at everything around him beautifully as an extension of his own consciousness. There are two states in which you can feel both the things. One is when you are a little intoxicated. Very interesting. You are a little intoxicated. So obviously you have this kind of a lot of psychedelic drugs are there. Long, long back, maybe about 35 years back, I remember I was traveling in a local bus in Delhi, and there was one old guy who was completely drunk. He was completely drunk, and there were a lot of ladies who didn't have seat. He was occupying a seat. He was anyway drunk. Somebody gave him a seat, and he was in tears. I said, "What happened?" He said, "My daughters are all standing. Nobody is giving them a seat." I didn't say anything. And all these women were all looking at each other and smiling. They were realizing that this fellow is in that look. People are laughing, but he's in that state of universal consciousness. He looks at all the women who are standing as his daughters. He said, "All are," I said, "Who are these ladies? Your family members?" All are my daughters only. And nobody gives them a seat. I'm old, so I have to sit. I am feeling very bad. And then he's in tears. So that's one thing. So, on the intoxication, a lot of people have experimented, including some very well established Western researchers into spirituality, such as Aldous Huxley or Ramdas and others. They have sort of gone into it, the importance of these elevating drugs, but that's something which our sadhana doesn't approve of, because that's a kind of synthetic kind of consciousness. It's not sustainable. That gives you another abhasa, another advaita abhasa. We are trying to overcome dvaita abhasa, this delusional appearance of samsara, and by taking that kind of intoxication, you are experiencing another delusional unity, and that delusional unity is not sustainable. The real unity of consciousness is achieved through vichara, through realization. So even if it is vairagya, it's not emotional vairagya which takes us to longer distance. It's jnana vairagya. It's a slow process of transformation. It's a very slow, steady. There's a lot of research they have done in the US that those who turn very spiritual, they renounce, they run away, do all kinds of things when they are in the early teens or 20s. And they have studied people who enter into spirituality in the middle ages. There is no drama in their life. It's a very slow, steady transformation where there is apparently no change, but there is significant change happening in a progressive manner, in a piecemeal manner. It's by inches, it's by centimeters, it's by meters, but it's not by kilometers in half a second. Those things happen when you are young, you are emotional, it's very visible. Real impact may not be very sustainable, but outside a lot of things happen. That is the young age, whether it is love or spirituality. But old age, you are mature, and therefore you have jnana vairagya, slow and steady. It's not dramatic. That stage when that person reaches is saying Jagrat Dvitiya Karaha. That we have already done. Now is trying to explain, if you reach that stage of perfection of your spiritual consciousness, perfection of your spirituality, he is now giving you certain signals or symptoms of how you tend to think, how you tend to behave. Why is he mentioning it to us? Because as I have mentioned you earlier, in school, you remember, our teachers will tell us stories about our seniors who are very smart. They will say, that boy used to do maths for 7, 8 hours a day. So, what is siddhi for them, what is normal vyavahara for them, is sadhana for us. What is lakshana for the siddhas is sadhana for us. These are the object of our sadhana. We want to reach there. That is why he's mentioning Jagrat Ditya Kara. He mentioned now the next verse we are going, and in the next one he's saying Nartaka Atma. The Atma is an actor, is a dancer. Nartaka in Sanskrit doesn't only mean dancer, Nartaka also means actor. What does it mean? It's a beautiful thing. Before we get into the details, and I was looking at different commentaries, and the Lakshman Ju book I have shared with you, I think in a very beautiful, emotional way, he has dealt with it. I tell you, when you are established in that Parama Shiva consciousness, you are in the universal Shiva consciousness. Then he's saying that in Siva Sutra, in this particular sadhana marga, somebody is not going to take to robes and run away into the caves or the forests. He can continue to be where he is, and he can do the sadhana. That is what is the Kashmiri Saiva marga. So, if he's a grihastha, for example, he'll continue to do the duties of a husband as a father, and he's doing a job, he'll continue to do all that. And he's in that perfect Shiva consciousness. How is it possible? Is it possible? Because there's a lot of discussion. A lot of people run away from that sansara because when you want to do serious sadhana, the sansara doesn't give you that space. Very honestly speaking, even though the Kashmiri Saivism may be saying it, it's possible that you have to squeeze out some time and space for yourself. Unless you have a family situation where there is that space, you can feel a little exasperated, a little breathless. And you may think of running away because you are not getting that space. It's quite possible. But at the same time, and I have seen that, I've seen a few couples who, there's one professor couple from New Jersey who come here, and both are teaching physics or computer science or whatever, but they're both Vedanthists. So they have kind of transformed their whole life, their whole family situation. They have converted their children into Vedanta, they are students of Vedanta, their children are students of Vedanta. So I have seen some rare couples, maybe it's God's grace, where they are able to turn their family into a temple and they're able to do sadhana. But that's because of prarabdha. It's quite possible that there were students in a school. This time they have become members of a family. They were in a gurukula. So now they are part of one family. So they are all having similar orientation. Otherwise, it's not very easy. However, what he says is that when a person is actually in that universal God consciousness, we have evidence like Janaka Maharshi. We had a lot of such very well established spiritual people, including Devendranath Tagore. He had so many children, and yet Thakur used to consider him to be a very, used to say, you are like Janaka Maharaj. You had Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar in Bengal, a household man, and yet deeply spiritual. Keshava Chandra Sen was a deeply spiritual person. You had quite a few examples like this. How does that fellow deal with samsara? That is explained by this sutra, Nartaka Atma. Who is a Nartaka? Who is an actor? What is the preliminary requirement for being an actor? For the preliminary requirement for being a good actor is to clearly understand that the way you are doing a role play and who you are two different realities. Otherwise, there will be confusion of levels and of roles. So I'm a spiritual person. No, no, I'm not going to that party. No, but it's your daughter's birthday. And say your daughter is married and she has come with her husband, and husband's parents are there. And you are a Vedanti. You want to do meditation in the evening. Who are coming? And our daughter, Papa, I'm coming, and he's coming. And then his my parents-in-law are also with me. No, but in the evening I have meditation. You come some other time. It's going to create a big tension, and your wife will come and shout at you. What is the drama you're doing? Stop the satsang. They are coming at 7:30. No satsang today. That is the problem. Now, what he's trying to say is this confusion will not happen to the person who is really self realized and he's in that universal God consciousness, because he knows what is the secret Lord Shiva himself is employing. He just imitates it. He is a clone of that Shiva consciousness. Therefore, what does Lord Shiva do? Lord Shiva is that Swatantra Saktiman Parameshwara. Is he restricted? Is he limited? No. In order to create this sansara, he plays that game of self concealment. Atma Gopanatmika Krida. He's playing that game. That is how the sansara is becoming visible. Because the moment Lord Shiva becomes visible, sansara will become invisible. When the perfect pure consciousness becomes evident, all else will vanish. Because that alone. So when pralaya happens, when everything falls asleep, when everything becomes null and void, what remains Jagrat, and what is surviving, what is luminous, what is vibrant? That pure God consciousness. Only when God of his own will is hiding himself that this whole sansara is created, and this sansara has no independent existence. This sansara, whatever you see in this sansara, Siva Eva. Everything is Brahman, everything is Lord Shiva. There is no avastha, the Shastra says, which is different from Shiva. So Shiva is undergoing changes. He is becoming a pasu, he is becoming a bird, an insect, and a fly or mosquito. He is becoming all that. No. He doesn't undergo any change, and yet he allows this play to, play out, this whole drama to play out. This is according to these laws of this whole creation and sustenance and destruction. Therefore, the game plays out. There is a beautiful Russian movie I had seen long back. It's a little philosophical, little depressive, but very symbolic movie. The title is very striking. It's very Vedantic. The title of the movie, I still remember, I'd seen it some 30 years back. The title of the movie, I don't know who was the director, it's an unfinished piece for a player piano. So there is a big piano over there, and some people are playing out and their tensions and their flirtations, their affections, and it's a very symbolic movie. It's a Russian movie with some background subtitles, and somebody is paraphrasing it in English. So, an unfinished piece for a player piano. It struck me as very Vedantic. That's how the title didn't get erased from my mind. Whole life that we see is actually an unfinished piece, and for a player piano, as if I just interpret the word player piano is not a piano which is played, but a piano which is kind of self-playing. Imagine that. If there is a piano which is self-playing, it can play on its own, then what do you mean by composition? What is the meaning of composition? It goes on playing on its own, and yet there is a composer, and he's using this piano to create that sound, and that is Paramashiva. And this whole thing is playing out, this whole sansara is playing out, and he is becoming that sound. He is that piano. He is the composer. He is making all this happen. He is the Sakshi Chaitanya, and he is a projection into the sansara in which everything is happening. It's a very complex, mysterious thing to even fathom, to contemplate on. It's very mystical. That is what he's saying, that the key thing in his all this drama is, in this whole universal dance, is that there is a role play, which means first principle is self-concealment. Second thing is you are doing a role play without being identified with it. The role play has a beginning and an end. You don't have a beginning or end. Thakur used to always say, Jadoo is jhoot. Jadugar is such. Don't take the Jadoo too seriously. He materializes a tiger out of a handkerchief. Quite possible, but that's not real. The only thing which is real on the stage is the magician who is showing magic to us. This whole sansara is that magic. We are bewildered, we are dumbfounded, flabbergasted, watching this wonderful drama which is playing out. Lord Shiva, who is doing everything, or you can call it Param Brahma if you are a Vedantist, but Lord Shiva, the Parameshwara, Maheshwara, he is playing out, is becoming everything without becoming anything. Why? Because you have that self awareness very much intact. Now, what it means to the sadhaka, what message it has for us, that when the sadhaka is established in that super level of self realization, he continues to do role play as a father, as a worker in the office, as a friend, as a companion of his spouse. However, he doesn't become any of these. He has roles. He plays the role of a dad, plays the role of a mom. He plays all these roles, and yet he remains himself. That means he remains Paramashiva, because he is in that universal God consciousness. So he is in that stage as per Bhagavad Gita, he's a Bidhe Atma. There are no rules for him, and yet he cannot break any rules because he's in that supreme state. So he'll not break any rules, but he'll play out. He will see what people are doing because he has no attachment. He has no game of his own. He's just a witness to everything that is happening around him. He'll take the best step, he will do it, and he also knows guna guneshu vartanta iti matva na sajjate. He's not trapped with anything. He's not attached to anything. He knows this is what is playing out. So this is one beautiful aspect of it. The second thing is that the actor, there is another beautiful thing here is, I used to give this example earlier. Just imagine that there is a millionaire whose daughter is assigned the role of a maidservant in a school one-act play. She's given the role of a maidservant, or maybe a bellboy or a bellgirl or whatever, attendant or steward in a hotel. And then there are middle class boys and girls who are given some important, assigned some important roles. Now they have this vicarious pleasure that they are ordering this millionaire's daughter to bring tea for them. Go bring tea. What are you doing? And they're enjoying it. And she also serving tea and she's smiling. They are shouting at her because that is the role. They are very oppressive landlords or customers. And she is a very poor girl who's a victim of rude behavior. So she play acts as a victim. Okay. Now the audience, her brother is sitting, younger brother, and he doesn't like. He said, Papa, why are they behaving like this with my sister? I said, relax, this is a game. And in that play, these other boys and girls who are misbehaving with her, as per the script, they are experiencing a sense of power because actually she is a millionaire's daughter. Once the one act play is over, she'll get into her luxury car and she'll drive off home into some ranch or into a beautiful bungalow. They'll go back to their apartments. They have a false sense of pride or power, misbehaving with her, being rude to her. And she has a sense of power in smiling and accepting their rude behavior as part of the script. All of us, amongst us, those who are able to conceive and realize they are Shiva consciousness, they are actors. And those who do not realize their spiritual consciousness, those who do not realize their spirituality, they are victims of this play. They are played. You know, they are not in control of themselves. They would experience sukha, dukkha, anxiety, and tyranny and misbehavior. They would be affected by the role. Sometimes it happens. We read in the stories that such and such fellow got angry with such and such fellow because of the role that was there. But the good professional actors have nothing to do with the piece of acting they are doing. It could be a dance. This man is somebody else's husband, somebody else's parent, and the girl is also someone else's wife and someone else's mother. And they may be doing a dance in which they have to hold each other and look into each other's eyes and just kiss each other. Done. Then what happens? Then he has to pick up his daughter. He says, beta, where are you? I'm reaching there in 5 minutes. I was at office. I was working. And the girl is similarly talking to her maidservant, what's going to be served, what food is there, did you pick up the child? She's busy. They are all professionals. There is an act. They are not participating. They are participating in it, but they know who they are. Now, this is a beautiful trick that is being given to us in our spiritual lives, that there would be some kind of an apparent contradiction between the inner spiritual aspiration and the outward preoccupations in life. But the intelligent sadhaka would know that he has to do a bit of play acting, find his time to do his sadhana, remain all the time observed in himself while giving himself or herself and being. It's not that this is going to be an antisocial. No, oh no, I'm sorry. I'm into serious sadhana. I'm not going to be part of your birthday party. I'm not going to come. So there is an alumni meet. No, I'm not going to go. They talk all superficial things. I'm a spiritual person. You don't have to do that. That is mentioned here. So, like a person is doing an act, aware of his role, but he knows who he or she is. Similarly, sadhaka is all the time established in the Parama Shiva consciousness, universal God consciousness, while playing out different avasthas, different states of the mind and its activities. Now he's explaining at a macro level, he's explaining that this Parama Shiva himself is actually manifesting himself as Jagrata Avastha, as Shopna Avastha, and as Susupti Avastha. In Jagrata Avastha, there is a world of differentiation. There is Indriya, Vishaya, Sambandha. And then we are moved into different objects of perception and we do lots of things. And in the dream world, the next subtle level of experiential reality that we enter, in which there is no real external reality, It's all self-conceived internal reality in which we are still playing roles. There are also actors. And then there is a deep sleep state in which there is no experiential reality within or outside. There is a reality without any experience of any object of perception or anything. There is just the simple, pure awareness or consciousness without self awareness. You are not saying you don't have that thing. I am dreaming, I am sleeping. No. When you wake up, you will say you had a very good sleep. Now, what the text says here is that Lord Shiva himself is creating or manifesting himself as the waking state, as the dream state, and as the deep sleep state. Mandukya Upanishad, for example, talks about that Turiya Avastha, that fourth state. There are several other Upanishads also talk about the same thing. That you have, it's called Avastatraya Viveka, having that vichara that there are three stages. But who is Atma? Atma is none of these. It's Avastatraya Sakshi. Pancho Koshatitaha Avastatraya Sakshi. Koso Atma, Shankaracharya says in Tattva Bodha. Who is that Atma? He's saying Pancho Koshadita, that means Annamaya Kosha, and then Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha. Beyond that, also Avastatraya Sakshi, Jagrat, Swapna, and Susupti Avastha Sakshi. He's a witness of all this. None of these. And that means he's beyond all this. Avastatraya Sakshi, that particular pure Chaitanya, that is Atma. Whatever is you is not what is yours. You have a car, you have a house, you have a wife, you have children. None of these is you. You have all this. All the tags, all the tails which are attached to you is none of you. You is that pure consciousness. That is the Vedantic way of meditation. Same thing is saying that Lord Shiva, that supreme universal God consciousness, assumes different particular manifestations. These are intermediate levels of manifestation of that pure universal God consciousness. And that universal God consciousness, Paramashiva, is all the time self aware and at the same time permits himself to manifest in these different forms. And what happens when he allows himself to manifest in different forms? The same Paramashiva consciousness will be doing operation on a patient somewhere, we will be cooking somewhere, would be sleeping somewhere, isn't it? These are these roles which are playing out of that one pure consciousness. This multitude of ideas and thoughts and actions and processes and relations, these are all manifesting in the waking state, in the dream state, and in the deep sleep state. These are all in encrypted form. So the Paramashiva, what he's trying to say is that without altering itself, without altering himself, he permits himself to take all these forms. So what do you call him? He's a good dramatist. That is exactly what a director of a drama does. He enacts the whole play. Interestingly, he's not taking part in it. He enacts, he does. Sometimes he's also the main actor, he's also the director. So he is the Ghataka. He is the main guy behind this whole drama, not very obvious. He is not obvious as himself. Even though director will be there in the play, he will not be there as a director. He will be there as maybe a servant. He'll do some kind of what they call a guest appearance. So there is a main actress, and the main actress has a younger sister, or the main actress is studying, learning music, and this director becomes that guest saintly music teacher. He will have a few scenes. He will teach classical music to this main actor, the female actor. He has a guest appearance, or he becomes the ailing father of the main male actor. These are the rules, roles. He might choose any particular role as depending on his choice. Lord Shiva, the supreme God consciousness, doesn't manifest swarupataha. In his own pure form, he cannot manifest. Therefore, he'll only manifest in the form of some role or the other. And actually, he is manifesting himself, including right now, he's manifesting here as the satsang. He is manifesting himself as Shiva Sutra. The conversation between us is his game. All of us are part of his game. Same universal consciousness is becoming you, becoming me, becoming the conversation between us. That is how we're saying, therefore, he is actually a grand, colossal, interesting, enigmatic actor. Clear? And therefore, he's saying there is a beautiful prayer that he's mentioning. Let's look at the Sanskrit tikas and then make progress, because we are kind of hit upon the main principles of it. Therefore, it's a Nartaka Atma. Why? He's saying Nityati Antara Niguhita. Niguhita means what is hidden, Achadita. Antar Niguhita Swaswarupa Avastamma Moolam. Swaswarupa. That Swaswarupa is the Astraya, Avastamba. That is the platform on which this whole samsara plays out. Universal God consciousness is the platform on which the details are playing out. It's like that white screen on which you watch a movie. Certain electromagnetic waves are reflected on it, and then you see different characters. You never see the waves. You're not talking about waves, you're talking about a movie of your choice. And this is the lady character, this is the male character, these are the kids, and this is the ambience, this is the hotel, this is the resort. You are seeing all that. What are they really? Only waves and light. And there is a white screen. There's nothing other than that as reality. What we are seeing is what is not reality, but what appears as reality. We are looking at what is abhavasate. Vastuvat avabhasate. And we call it that is reality. That is what is phenomenal reality. He's saying, so antar niguhita swarupa avastamba moolam tat tat jagratadi nana bhumika prapancham. Once you have created that as a foundation, and then there are different things which are coming up from that very platform. Tat tat, depending on that, different kind of modifications. Bhumika prapancham, swapna, susupti, and jagrata avastha, swaparispanda lilaya eva. And then how all that happens? His own vibration. Of his own vibration is creating these avasthas, and all these names and forms are appearing. All these stories are playing out. That is Lord Paramashiva itself, that pure consciousness. Lilya eva swabhitau, where it is appearing? On that white screen. Swabhitau, bhitti is that foundation, that wall. Swabhitau prakatayati, he expresses itself. Iti nartaka atma. Therefore, this atma, this Paramashiva Sattva, is a dancer, is an actor, is very profound, very mystical. If we try to linguistically break the sentence and make sense of it, we will not reach there. That's why we need this advice of the great acharyas who have written their commentaries. Then, Varadaraja is writing a few interesting sentences. Itham Nitya Prabuddhasya. Nitya Prabuddha is that particular guy for whom Jagrat Ditya Karaha, he has established himself there. He's gone beyond Moha Jayat. He's gone beyond Maya. And he has reached the Unmana stage. He is Nitya Prabuddhasya Moha Lakshmis Chirosita. So, Moha Lakshmi, Lakshmi Chirosita, Sariram Asrayati Eva Jivana Muktasya Sarvada. He is Jivana Mukta. He is just appearing and is play acting all these roles. And then what he's saying? Gataha Parananda Sakshiva Atma Sada Katham Chestate Sutramachaste Tadartham Chandra Shekharaha. The question will be, once he's established, he's become Jivana Mukta, he's a self-realized guy, how does he live his life? Why does he go to talk to his wife? Why does he call up, receive phone calls from his children? Why should he do all this? Therefore, he's saying he's doing play acting. He's not in any of these. He's just doing a drama. Rasa bhavanaya abhigyo Bhagangarhaya sattva yatvat praudha the way a professional actor acts, same way samyag anuganta prakirtitaha. That is what Varadaraja is saying, but we will look at the Siva Sutra, Vimarshi of the Kshemaraja. He's saying, Idrusascha ayam sarvada. Now, this is actually in the last commentary, it is mentioned beautifully, so we'll directly go there. Idrusascha ayam yogi janaha. This yogi, the sadhaka, Nirantaram Swa Atma Vimarsha Samavishtaha is all the time established in that Swa Atma Vimarsha, self awareness is established there. Bhavati iti pratipadyate. That is what is explained here. Nartaka Atma. Atma is like an actor. Nityati. Why is Nartaka? Nityati. Antaha Prachanna Swatma Swarupa Grahana Saktyanusaram Aneka Vidha Jagratadi Avastha Prapancham. Antah prachanna, he first hides himself. Then what? Swatma Swarupa Grahana Saktya. And then with his own power to assume different roles he assumes. Aneka Vidha, and then different modes of existence, different modes of playing that game. Jagra, Swapna, Susupti. Jagrat Adi, Avastha, Prapancham, all these three states. So Swatantra Saktya, how does he do it? Of his own choice, sovereign power. So Swatantra Saktya Chid Bhumau Eva Unmilayati. Because he had mentioned, earlier sloka mentioned, that Jagra Ditya Karaha, he's saying this whole sansara has emanated out of that Paramashiva Tattva. When he looks at everything, he dissolves everything in that Paramashiva Tattva and remains there. That is the Samadhi Avastha. This is the, when he's moving around, how does he deal with it? That is what he realizes, that this is what it has come out of that pure Shiva consciousness. So, Asre Bhutam, that Chid Bhumo Eva, it is in that pure consciousness, that is the foundation on which everything is opening up and expanding. Arthat, what does it mean? Atma Swakya Ichha Saktya. This Paramatma, Paramashiva, with his own volition, of his own choice, Asraya Bhutayam Chitti. What is the foundation of this? In that universal consciousness. Chitti means in Chaitanya, in that pure consciousness. Swos Spandana Lilaya Eva. The power of his own vibration, with his own vibration, with his own energy. Jagrada, Swapna, Susupti, Rupa, Bhumikashu, these three states of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, Bhumikashu, Avinayan. That pure consciousness only acts because he doesn't change. Paramashiva has no change. Therefore, Abhinayan, Abhasitasya Vastunaha Nimittam Bhavati Nartakaiti. Now, it's a very big drama. It's mind boggling. He's saying that the magician of his own, he not only creates the stage is his own pure consciousness. He also creates the audience. And he's showing a magic to the audience which he himself has created. Okay. And then he is manifesting everything. And therefore, he is called the grand actor, because everything he's playing out, everything is happening as per his sweet will. Sansara Natya Pravartaita, because he is like a Pravartaka. He is, sort of setting out different roles for all these people, which are no different from him, that supreme consciousness. Supte Jagarti Jagaruka Eka Eva Parameshwara. Therefore, that alone is Paramashiva. He is manifesting in the deep sleep state, in the dream state, and also in the waking state. Tathacha Uktam Mahartha Manjaryam. Mahartha Manjari is a great text in which Saeva Vishwanataka Sailushaha. Yaha Eva Vishwanataka Sailushaha. Sailushaha means what? The director, Abhineta. Vishwanataka Sailushaha Suddha Sambit Sambhu. Who is that guy? He's Paramashiva. Suddha Sambit Sambhu. Without name and form. Supreme, purest, subtlest, pure consciousness. Varnaga parigrahamahi tasya dasa kapi purusha bhavati. And then all the details are playing out of that pure supreme consciousness. Yotohi maheshwaraha. Why so? Sarva. Sarvam eva aham asmi iti. Everything is me only. What is there which is not Lord Shiva's creation, where he is not present? What is that where Lord Krishna is in prayer? Lord Krishna and Shiva is one tattva only, that Parameshwara tattva. Sarvam aham eva asmi. iti Vaiswatmya Prathanubhutisara Chamatkara Uttarataya. This is a game of magic, the magician. Vishwatmya Pratha Anubhuti Sara. And he has taken the mode of the sansara, and then he remains the essence, the gist of all this, which is beyond all this. Uttarataya, and beyond all this. Parichinna bhava sunya. Everything in sansara is paricheda bhavamaya. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is unlimited. In the whole cosmos, you see whether it's a black hole or a star or anything, everything can be measured. Everything is measurable. You can measure them. You can say, okay, the size is X, Y, Z, will definitely bring a moment of measurability to all of this. What is that pure consciousness? It can't be measured. It has no beginning, no end. It's not a geometrical imagination. You cannot give it axis. You cannot say this is so many dimensional plane, these, that. These are all mathematical fantasies. It's not so. Therefore, parichinna bhava sunyam so swatantra swabhava vidyamaim sambit anubhavan. And he experiences that. Swa sambit, that pure consciousness, sambit anubhavan. Sambidam anubhavan jagannatakasya sailusho naraha kathyate. There he appears as a human being, and then he becomes that magician, he becomes that actor. In this whole commentary, the real secret which is being conveyed to us, to my mind, is one is cosmological secret. What is this sansara? Why God created it? And how sansara he has created? If he's everywhere, then when we become sad and happy, does he become sad and happy? We got the answer today. He doesn't become sad or happy. We become sad or happy. Why? Because we do not know our Swarupa. So we are not actors. We are victims of this whole sansara. Only one who is a real actor. Sometimes we make fun of our friends, right? He's a great actor. Actually, it's a very positive thing. If you can be a great actor, you'd be somebody who remains in an elevated state of self-awareness while artificially, outwardly participating in different processes that we call our life. We can participate in the outside world. Sometimes you can get a little angry with your child who is not doing things in a right way, or you're not happy with his or her behavior. You might do all the drama. And at the same time, you know when to return to your room and do meditation, or you know none of this is real. You're just doing all this. So what happened? Okay, do it. And then you come back. Can we do that exercise quickly? That is one key thing. One is cosmological and one is about our spiritual sadhana. And therefore, there is this beautiful prayer. He's saying that, oh Lord, everything is you. You are manifesting everything. So, and there is another, we are going to that, another sutra. Give me 1 second. There is another beautiful prayer where he's mentioning, give me one. Yeah. There is another beautiful sloka there. Tvam ekansena antaratma nartakaha kosha rakshitaha. Lord Shiva is the cause of the causes. So he's actually the pure seed. Consciousness is pure seed, out of which everything emanates, everything. Tvam ekansena antaratma nartakaha. So again and again that is mentioned. Even in Ramanuja thing that we discuss, he says that we are a tiny part of Lord Krishna's energy or Swarupa. Tiny part of him. Karna Brahma, so to say. Then he talks about Apritaktva Siddhi. We are no different. We can never exist independently of him. So, Vedanta also, there are such statements that the visible reality is a tiny part of the cosmic reality. Physics also says the same thing. What you call the material universe, what is solid or liquid, the material visible universe is a tiny part of the cosmic reality, because then you have dark matter and blah blah blah, plasma, all that. So what you see visible reality is just all a tiny part of it. Same thing is saying ekansena antaratma nartakaha kosha rakshita. So you are the one who is protecting it, and you, out of a tiny part of that cosmic consciousness that you are the play actor. That means you are in the srishti, sthiti, sanghara, all the processes which are happening, enacted by you, guided by you, controlled by you, and you are participating in them in a very delusional manner in the form of human beings, trees, plants, birds, everything. There is this thing, idrusoyam sada swata vimarsha avesitasayah idrusascha ayam sarvada swaswarupa vimarsavistah. So he's taking from Siva Sutra Vartika and Siva Sutra Vimarshani. Idrusha ayam, that Lord Shiva is like this. Sada swata vimarsha avasita asaya. All the time, the foundation of his consciousness that he is always self-aware. That means you are aware of yourself. Then you are playing out the game, right? But the critical thing to any kind of acting is that you remain self-aware. You don't forget. Then you will commit all kinds of errors. That is one trick there. So there is a beautiful sentence, couple of sentences. Idrusoyam sada swatva vimarsa avesitasayah nrityanti anta parichinna swaswarupa avalambana. Nrityanti antah parichinna swaswarupa avalambana swachaya swatmachid vimau vittau, in that platform of his own consciousness. Parispanda leelaya, we have already dealt it. Jagara Swapna Susupta Rupa Rupaha Tata Swabhumika. These are the modes of his own expression, this waking state, dream state, and sleep state. Avhasayati Yat Tasmad Atma Nartakaha Uchyate. Because he materializes these modes of existence as if they are real, therefore he is called a dramatist. And there is so many. Avhasayati Yat Tasmad, because he creates these delusional appearances, therefore he's called the dramatist. Tasmad ananda swabhava atma mukto amukto va. Now, whether it is he's in bondage or he's free, no, he's self-aware all the time. That particular person who is established in Shiva consciousness, he's liberated or not, he appears as a dramatist while he's play acting, he's amukta. He's like a sansari. When he's in that Shiva consciousness, simultaneously, he's always liberated. So he's mukta baddha at the same time. It's part of the game. He's not mukta or baddha. He's in that constant state of fully being self-aware and also play acting the role in the sansara. There's a beautiful thing he's saying here. Okay? So, tasmad ananda swabhava atma. Atma is always ananda swabhava, mukto amukto va, and you have that. So, when a person परमात्मा स्वरूपतः परानंद विघूर्णित निसर्ग सुंदर तत्व परानंद विघूर्णितम निसर्ग सुंदर. So he's absolutely not at all affected by anything. He's free. And there are other examples that this whole sansara is like a painting he's doing. Remember that Hindi song, कौन चित्रकार है कौन चित्रकार, जगत चित्रम समालिक्ष्य स्वेच्छा तुलिकायात्मनि. He's painting this whole sansara in his own self with his own brush. Swayam eva samalokya prinati, and he watches himself become the sansara and he laughs. It's like you have acted as XYZ, or you did some fancy dress, people took some pictures, so you are made into playing some funny role, and that's recorded, and you're watching that, the video recording thing, and you are laughing. You're sometimes posting it in the Facebook. Lord Shiva is becoming everything, and he's watching everything, and he's also smiling. He's enjoying it. That's his leela, that's his game. Jagat Chitram Samalikhya Swecha Tulikayatmani Swayam Eva Samalokya Prinati Bhagavan Shiva. He is Asutosa, he's smiling. Oh, really, this is going on. Swecha Vishwa Mayol Lekha Khachitam Vishwarupakam Chaitanyam Atmano Rupam Nisargananda Sundaram. Of his own wish, everything has manifested. He himself is always remaining in that complete, perfect, pure, blissful consciousness. What is his Swarupa? And there is another such sentence in another thing in Yogini Vidya. Jagat Chitram Samalikhya Swam Evatma Vigraham. His own self is portraying as this whole samsara. Swayam eva samalokya, and he's watching himself santushta paramadvutaham. And he's very happy. What a drama. It's like, think about a little child. The little child is trying to impress the mother. Then the child, wears papa's spectacles, and maybe he's short or something and behaves like the dad and comes to mom and he's behaving like a grown-up person and he laughs, and then he's laughing at himself. It's like that. The soul supreme lord is creating this drama for his own entertainment and he's laughing at it. Then he's saying Pranamavi Mahadevim Paramananda Rupinim Nityananda Ghanam Param Bhamikeswara Tantra. That all the time you are bowing down because with the help of this Parameshwari, Sansara is creating. Now you would ask me this question, because Shiva Shakti are not different from each other. Then you are saying Nartaka Atma, are you referring to Lord Shiva when you said Shiva, or there is some Shakti? Today, interestingly, is Jagadhatri Puja, a very auspicious occasion. It's also Amla Navami, but it's Jagadhatri Puja. In Bengal, in Orissa, and other parts, in Ramakrishna Mission, Puja is going on. It will go on till 11 o'clock. So here, what the Tikakaras and commentators are saying is that Srishti and Sthiti, because how does Mother act, Divine Mother, Lasya? Radha Rani, they say, actually she's Ma Radha only. What is the energy? Hladini Shakti. She's smiling, right? Parameshwari, Jagadhatri, Durga, they're all smiling. Sometimes we paint them to make them look angry because they're fighting Mahishasura and all, but they're all the time, they're carrying that limitless, blissful smile. Therefore, it symbolizes that part of the drama which is relating to Srishti and Sthiti. That is mother's game. And who terminates everything? There is another sentence, we have already done it yesterday. You are the prastavaka, you are the scriptwriter. Who can tell us what is going to happen in the end? You only will be the sangharaka. You have begin this drama and you'll close this drama. So, Bhagavan, mother is creation. With the help of mother, creation happens. With Lord Shiva's wish and everything happens. So mother creates and mother sustains. Lord Shiva having that tandav, right? Lord Shiva is not smiling, he's meditation, he's all the time smiling. He's a Trailokya Dhurta. Dhurta means also actor. He's not a cunning guy. He's Trailokya Dhurta means he's also an actor. All the time smiling, he's in perfect meditation, watching this whole dream. Some people say that when Lord Shiva is sitting in meditation, that whole dream meditation is actually this whole samsara. He is not doing anything. So Lord Shiva, metaphorically, his Tandava is all about Sanghara. That is how this Sthiti, Sthiti and Laya, all this is part of the mega drama. And Nartaka Atma, this was the Sutra number 9. And these are some beautiful, simple sutras. But there are a few indications which is going to help us guide our sadhana and deal with our everyday lives. So I'll stop here. We've just touched the timeline. Any questions you can ask, or we'll do the Santi mantras. Yeah,
Swamiji, I'm a little curious about that Turiya state of mind.
yeah.
Maybe some other, yes.
Yes, we will deal with it. Today we have just touched the time. The Turiya Avastha is the Vedanti concept of the fourth state. O, U, Ma, Om. So, O is the Jagrata Avastha, U is the Swapna Avastha, and Ma is the Susupti Avastha. Turiya Avastha, metaphorically, Upanishad says, if you ring the bell, ding, and after that the sound stops, what follows? That silent stage. That is the Turiya Avastha. So it is Avastatraya Shakshi. So means fourth stage. Turiya means fourth. Fourth state means the state beyond all this, that permeates all three states. Why? Atma is pure consciousness. It has to be there. It's Nitya. So it will be there in the Jagrat state also, Swapna state also, deep sleep state also. But I'll dwell upon this for a longer period in the next class on Thursday when we meet.
And also, how do we reach that state? Is through meditation or through knowledge,
Mm.
acquiring knowledge, or through bhakti,
That
or
is a
it's
That is a million dollar question, but simple answer is like this. As we dealt in Bhagavad Gita, there is nothing which is useless. So to begin with, Bhagavad Gita explained to us you have to do Nishkama Karma Yoga, and then Ishvara Arapana Buddhya, surrender to the Lord, and then Antakarana Suddhi. As we have Antakarana Suddhi, the mind becomes purer and purer. God will create Vairagya, and then we mature and we lose interest in the material world. Then we get into Vedanta, and God creates situations for sadhana. In the Vedanta path, sannyasa or distance from family life and stuff like this is considered a necessary